Hey, what is up, guys? It's Giltspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. Today we have round 9, Atrocity versus Cerebral Assassins. And I am joined by all4domo. How you doing today, bud?
I am doing fantastic, other than almost missing this from sleeping. But we are here, ready to see this awesome game. Honestly, this is one of the matches I've been looking forward to most of the week. This is a really determining match for how playoffs go. So I'm really intrigued to see what happens here.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. For those who are not aware of the current standings, right now we have Atrocity with a 5-3 record, and Cerebral Assassins at 4-3. Actually, sorry, Atrocity I think is at 5-2 to be exact. But if it is Cerebral Assassins were to win this, both teams would move to a 5-3 record, and we would end up with a significant number of ties for the playoff spot. And there's just this week and next week for the Saturday division, and that is it. Come the, what do we officially say? I think the 20th. The 20th is going to be our playoff weekend to determine who will be moving to the finals. So this pretty much is, for all intent purpose, you know, all the marbles for these two teams.
Exactly. I think this is one of the more difficult matches they're going to have in these remaining 2 weeks from the schedules that I saw. So this is really, again, as you said, all the marbles are in the bowl right here, and we're going to see how they all fall out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting. I imagine that both teams are going to be bringing their best, especially as Twins was unbanned, since, to my knowledge, you're able to kick the Vic. So I imagine we'll probably see some Twins. I imagine we'll see some Nurse, some Blight, so on and so on. You know, all those S and A tiers.
I've gone against a few Twins this week, so I can confirm that I have been able to kick the man baby. So it seems to be working on that end, and we did a few scrims with the Twins. So, I mean, it seems to be good, and I would honestly love to see a Twins gameplay, honestly. And comp is great, and Pugs, not so much if you're doing some solos there. I'll say that.
Yeah. Also, I will say, since I actually played against a Twins just the other day, did you know that if you head on Victor, his hitbox remains in place and can body block you in the locker, more or less?
What?
Yeah.
Wait, so you can't, like,
So I basically head on Victor. He, you know, died. But I couldn't get around him in order to escape from Charlotte, who was also there in front of me. Like, huh, well, this is unfortunate.
That's actually very interesting. So it kind of body blocked you in there?
Yeah, pretty much, because I tried to get to the doorway from Midwich, and it's like, no, I think not. I'm like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. I thought I was being smart, you know, head on Victor. This would be great. No.
Just get good. I don't know what to tell you. Invest in hitboxes. You gotta know this stuff before it even happens. You gotta get into the coding of the game and figure out their spaghetti, what's in there, and and just unwind it.
Speaking of stuff like that, you excited for Tuesday?
I am excited. Have you seen the leaks? I don't want to say too much to people that haven't seen it, but have you seen it?
I have. I mean, it's not been exactly much. There's been some stuff that has been put out, but I'm excited to see the new killer. I'm excited to see the new survivors, the new perks that come with them. And the good news is that these killers and survivors are going to be viable for Season 2 of COTF, so I'm quite excited to see what comes with that.
Do you think there will be another Boon Totem? I'm curious. What do you think on that? Do you think there will be another one?
Good question. I hope not, because I still feel like Boon Totems are too strong as of this moment.
I hope we take a Survivor break on it, just one break to see how things settle, and then the next Survivor we can make a new one depending on how the other two have been performing.
Yeah, I'm hoping for, in the PTB, for them to provide a nerf of some sort to Boon Totems. The biggest thing, like I said, time and time again, when you snuff out a totem, it should remove the perk or destroy the totem. One or the other. Outside of that, though, I am actually really hoping for some Scourge Hook perks for the killer.
Oh, yes.
That I'm really, really interested in. We have not obviously seen any Scourge Hook play in comp because that has been banned for the time being. But I want to see what else they can come up with, because I'll be honest, the Sloppy Butcher plus anti-resilience effect I think is so strong. And as we were talking about Twins earlier, I personally love running it on Twins.
I could see that, and then maybe like running Phantom on top of that, right? No, that could work. Especially with Twins. And I think the first map we are going on is Suffopit, which is a great map for Twins.
Unfortunately, it is not a Suffopit due to
right?
desync. So it has since changed to Azerov's Resting Place and Gas Heaven. And I believe we are on the Azerov's Resting Place first, which, for all intent purposes, is just Suffocation Pit with a different skin.
No, legit, that's what I'm saying. I guess maybe I like switched them up in my head, yeah, because I remember the desync issues. I want it to be Suffopit. But yes, Azeroth Resting Place is also still a completely viable map for Twins, one of her better ones. So let's see what we get. And it is Twins.
It is indeed. So good call out on that one. And I think this is going to be a great map for them. I mean, basically, as long as they try not to play the entire map, they'll be in a beautiful spot. But with that being said, a very early find.
Looks like they probably had sprint burst and they're going to go into the corrupted area. So you're just going to sack a Victor on them and get an early hit and then probably go back to the active gens.
At the same time, I don't know. If I'm kind of looking at this situation, we did see a totem over here on this side. We actually see a killer instinct on said totem. Maybe it might be the right move for Twins here to commit to this side instead and, you know, ensure that they keep up Ruin, Undying, or maybe even Devour if they have that.
Oh, 100%. I think that was the right call. I'd say if you didn't see Killer Instinct on that totem, then you would have left. But since he did, he got a nice early hit again. He's got 2 injured survivors this early against, and we heard a nice spicy little bamboozle there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested in that. I haven't really seen many Twins use Bamboozle, though I've had people argue all the time, you know, that they pretty much swear by it on any, you know, M1 killer.
Honestly, it can be very, very solid. In particular, you think about the chainsaw killers; those are one of the strongest ones to use Bamboozle on in comp. Otherwise, I think there are other perks you can use on Twins that will get more value, especially if you spend a lot of time in Victor.
Yeah, no, it definitely is interesting. So I'm definitely going to be curious to see how much Bamboozle value they get this match. Normally for me, it's just Bubba, just Billy. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. Chainsaw killers. And it looks like they've found someone working on the active gens. Not quite progressed too much, so they don't have to worry about this as much. Gets a nice vault right there. Does not get the hit, and it looks like a line coming out from the Claude. Really well done to get away from that active gen and just hold WH to the back to level.
Agreed. And looks like they're going to be going back to the unhook here, though maybe deviating, and does find the injure and gets the repeated down on that one guy D. Though we do, however, hear a totem in the background get cleansed. So I do believe at this point that the killer no longer has any available passive gen regression. And look like High Surveillance just being very patient on that pickup right there.
That was very well done right there. They honestly healed way too close in the middle there. They should have gone farther to the side so that Victor just couldn't get it down, especially so close to Charlotte, who was centering fairly close.
And especially now, as they are very well aware that there is no decisive strike. Looks like they're going to proxy that hook with Charlotte and send out Vic for some additional downs.
And especially since, again, yeah, Ace has not been healed yet. And getting a good job getting to the window there. But as soon as the save comes through, he's just going to tunnel out one guy D.
Yeah, I mean, this is Spar's move. You're on 5 generators right now. You can get a survivor out early. I mean, there's no reason not to in this situation.
Yep, and here comes the Bamboozle play. Almost getting that hit off. Well done. Throwing that pallet down early and getting that out of the way. So they maybe might die here, though. They might not know about the Bamboozle. And they only have a TNL to work with.
We do hear, however, some footsteps on the horizon. Looks like the team's trying to come in for a body block, but not able to get there in time.
My goodness, there's going to be a kill at not even a... Well, there we go. By my own word. One gen done. Maybe another following suit after, but in all intents and purposes, the down happened before even a first gen popped, which is unfortunate for the survivors.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty significant here in this situation. You know, if you're the Survivor team, what exactly do you do here? You know, yeah, you got 2 gens done for the price of 1 survivor, but, you know, every chase going forward is just going to be a miserable experience because once they get on the hook, basically you have maximum of 1 survivor on gens. It's going to be a struggle, to say the least.
Oh, 100%. Right now, what we need to take this body block. Oh, well, I think Charlotte is far enough anyways to get no value from that. Oh, potentially not. They actually kind of are in the middle. But right now what the survivors need to be doing is they need to do a very, very slow game of just resetting. They get hit, they go to the bottom of the map, or the top of the map where main building is, and they reset. And they just keep going back and forth and back and forth. And I believe they got 2 totems, if I'm not mistaken, so they should have Ruin gone. So no gen regression in that part, so it makes their job a bit easier. What do you think they need to do?
I mean, you're pretty much right in that. I think also not going for aggressive unhooks as we're seeing here, because what we're going to see happen is Victor's going to come right on out, going to go right for Osaka, and just going to try and get that 2-man slug going. And, I mean, if they're able to successfully do this, which narrowly missing, would have resulted pretty much in a GG, but it looks like Icebound's going to opt to go for the pickup. Though we'll first check for the Claudette, who has snuck on over here.
100%, and the survivor was working on a gen here for some reason. The weird thing is that I don't think they've actually done a gen on the other side of the map where basically all the gens are right now. And they've done 2 gens on this side. They're going to completely 3-gen themselves, which you need to break, especially when you have 1 survivor dead.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting snare for sure, and we do see Steve potentially going down again. I do believe he picked himself with Unbreakable, so that tool is now out of the Survivor's pockets, and Victor sees blood in the water and will get the locker grab. The question is whether or not that Charlotte is going to be able to get there in time to finish the ace off.
And I believe they do. That will not come out in time. Oh! Almost.
That seemed a little bit odd. That almost looked like a head-on to me, right?
No, that's what I was thinking. You know, like it came out so violently. I'm like, wait, what just happened there? I was like, was that a head-on play in comp?
I mean, if you know it's twins, maybe that's not a half bad idea, but
it's not horrible.
In this case, it did not work out all too well for the ace, and now we do see Victor coming back on out, trying to slug out Steve and Claudette here, but Steve will end up getting healed as Victor is not able to identify exactly where these survivors are at.
I was just about to comment that they have not reset yet. Like, that's the one major issue, that they have not been resetting enough against twins from Ace, and them being like working in this 3-gen area, the area where they've already done gens. They are not in a good spot. And again, Claude is still injured, so maybe she finished that gen right there. Maybe not. But I guess they're probably just going for gen points at this moment right now. They're not even concerned with maybe winning this.
I mean, really speaking, if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, I mean, that is what you kind of need to do, because you're guaranteed to get gen points. You're not guaranteed to get escape at this point in time.
No, 100%. I would go for gens as well, and maybe get one escape depending if we can reset enough. And there comes the death hook coming in. Maybe they have one more gen close. Oh.
It would make sense, but so far Victor is not able to identify where they are, and it looks like High Surveillance will opt to go for the pickup on Jacoby, the Claudette, as they're not able to identify where Scuba Steve is. And these survivors, I think, doing the right thing, playing it safe, and slowly but surely just cranking out this pressure on these generators. And maybe at this point... So here's a question, you know, if they complete this next gen, what should they do? Should they be going for hook trades and trying to get that 5th gen out, or should they just go for the hatch play?
At this point, with Osaka dying on hook, I don't believe they can get another gen done at this moment, unless there's someone right here. Oh, and they were working on this gen, I feel. Unless it's the same progress as last time, I do not know.
Pretty sure that's the same progress as last time. Not to mention we didn't hear any Killer Instinct next to Victor.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if they hadn't kicked the Vic at that point in time and were playing it dangerously.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe they just crouched there, were trying to like fool him and just do the gen, and then maybe kick it after. But no, guess not.
Yeah, it's possible
I guess they're just really looking for him.
Yeah, I think maybe they're going for the hatch play, but with the hatch being how it is now, they are not able to get it as quickly. But we do see a unhook, and we see Scuba Steve in the distance. And it looks like Victor has too, as they'll be trying to go for the pounce on the Steve, and they do get it.
Now, one thing that they do have going for them right now is that Charlotte is on the opposite side of the map. So they can potentially disperse or sneak around to the side and go back down to get that one last gen done. So maybe that is the aim right now. They did kick Victor off the back immediately and are trying to heal up, but I don't think that heal's going to come off in time. And the Shack pallet is already down, so this could potentially be a fast down, especially with Bamboozle, as we have seen.
Yeah, I think that was probably a mistake in the grand scheme of things. Honestly, I think the right move there may have been to keep Victor on their back, giving the Claudette maybe a little bit more time to go for a generator, as I imagine that she'll probably be on that gen that we saw earlier, more likely than not.
Especially now that Victor is available, but High Surveillance is not using Victor right now. Could get a slug going and go back and check a gen really quickly with Victor, much faster than they could with Charlotte. But electing to go with the normal M1 here. Oh, now here comes up Victor.
And once they saw the pallet, they opted to go for this. Gets the pounce right over the pallet, and will probably be on the prowl for the Claudette.
Yes,
as
indeed.
they are well aware that there is no more Unbreakable available to them.
Oh, but it did not seem like they went back to that gem right there.
Instead, looks like they must have jumped onto Hill Gen. I'm quite surprised. Maybe a bit of miscommunication on the part of Cerebral Assassins, as I think that amount of time that Steve gave them, they probably could have gotten that 4th gen.
Exactly. That's why I assumed they were going to be going down to that, or up to that top gen over there and try to finish that one up, because that one already had progress, and I'm not sure if that Hill gen had progress prior.
To my knowledge, it did not.
Yeah, and then it was also questionable having Scuba Steve run near that gen that was being completed on, because it could have been much easier for the killer just to go over there immediately rather than the opposite side of the map, which would make more sense.
Exactly. And I do believe High Surveillance was waiting for either the Kobe or the Deliverance, but looking like Super Steve does not have it in him to do so.
Nope.
So that will be the progression. And I think that there is the swan song for this trial, as Claudette will be going up on the hook for the 4K. And a pretty good point gap between these two teams moving to trial number 2.
Oh, 100%. I mean, right now it is very heavily sided in Atrocity's favor. But honestly, I think we're going to get hit back with another Twins.
I could definitely see it, no doubt, no doubt. But for those who are not able to see the score, we're currently looking at 9 points for Cerebral Assassin's Survivor team and 45 points for Atrocity's Twins. Currently a pretty significant point gap as we move into trial number 2. But as all4domo mentioned, I think that we're probably going to see either Twins, maybe some S tiers, you know, something to hit back just as hard. At the same time, it is ARP, so I wouldn't be surprised maybe if we see a Bubba. Wouldn't be a bad idea in my opinion.
But it might, it really depends, I guess, on the gen setup and how fast they get that first down. If they get a fairly fast down with Bubba and they're able to camp that kill out pretty quickly in that 3-4 gen area, depending on the gen spawn on Azeroth resting place, then it could be a 4K, but otherwise, if the survivors are able to attack it and they don't get a fast enough down, it could well very be a 2-man out, which would mean that Atrocity still comes out ahead.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. You know, I think on one hand, you might want to play it safe. On the other hand, as you mentioned earlier, this really is kind of the big match for both these teams, so maybe just bringing out all the stops is the way to go.
Honestly, I do think that this is the map to bring, as we said, like, Suffo Pits and Hazard Resting Place are both fantastic maps for Twins with their ability to sentry and kind of camp with regen and just apply a lot of pressure on the map and injure survivors. I think for Gas Heaven, you're going to see the S tiers like Blight, Nurse, Spirit come out. That's where you'll see those S tiers come in. I don't think we're going to see it on this map unless they're feeling really desperate and think that, maybe their Blight can do some wonders on this map with that mobility around one side of the map, just like crushing through people. So we'll see.
Yep. With that being said, we are in lobby, and it looks like that we're going to get Osaka from Cerebral Assassins killing today. I know that they specialize in a few specific killers, but I can't remember off the top of my head what they are, so it's going to be a little bit of a surprise, at least for me.
If they don't bring Twins, I will be very surprised, because I feel like you need something of the same sort of caliber on this map.
I mean, if we're looking at the killer tracker right now, let's take a look and see what Cerebral Assassins has and doesn't have available to them. So it looks like Nurse is a no-go. I think they actually burned that last week against Monarchy. And then we have Executioner has also been used. Blight has also been used. But Twins has not been touched at all. It looks like Spirit also has one available. So I'm going to guess probably looking at a Spirit and Twins game these next two matches.
It has to be, essentially. So with Blight and Nurse gone, that only really leaves Twins on this map, unless you're, like you said, maybe a Bubba if they're feeling a bit, lucky with getting an early down. So it really depends here what they're thinking, but personally, I would go for that Twins. I would try to match that performance right there. If they get 4 gens done, sure, Atrocity comes out on top, but if you get that 4K still, you're going to be right alongside them again, and it's going to be a close match.
Agreed. I definitely think at the very least, if you're Osaka here, you're looking for the 4K, buy 5 gens, trying to keep it close. If you can get it before, the 4th gen goes off, then you're looking at a tie game for all intent and purpose. So it is just a matter of what they bring to the table and how aggressive they're going to be. We did see there, which I will say is a little bit surprising, High Surveillance actually did run pretty much the entire map. They didn't really stick to one side and just hold their ground. They really did, go from one side to the other, but because of that early kill, I think that's what gave them that ability.
No, 100%. Like, that unfortunate play we're having, that one guy D kind of healing in that midsection, I think was the whole biggest mistake of that game right there, because that allowed High Surveillance to get that next early hook right on what that one guy D, and then just a tunnel out immediately after that where they did not get body blocks in time. So that basically gave him so much freedom for the rest of the game to do whatever he wanted. Personally, I don't think either team played it like perfectly, but he didn't need to. He got the 4K anyways, and it worked out in his favor because he had a bunch of not a bunch, but he had a few misses with Victor that he could have capitalized on, and they did some good outplays. But the starters made a lot of mistakes with not resetting, kind of 3-genning themselves and just not splitting pressure enough and kind of like grouping up. So it didn't quite work out.
I would tend to agree with that analysis. But with that being said, on another note, I know we talked about it very briefly regarding the new killer. And obviously the perks that we'd like to see or, hope not to see in some ways. What is your thoughts on the A, design of the killer, and B, what we're currently hearing regarding the killer's power, or potentially, quote-unquote passive power, that's been data mined?
I actually haven't heard about that. Would you want to share that, or do you not want to share that on
So,
stream?
I don't take this a grain of salt, because I personally, right now, the only leak, platform that I really follow is, like, Dead by Daylight leaks, or is it Leaks by Deadlight or Dead by Daylight leaks? Which one is it that I do? Either way,
I watch both.
There's one that I find a bit more reputable than another. Either ways, I have not heard much from them. It's Leaks DBD or DBD Leaks. The reason why I got always confused that they have the name as DBD Leaks, but it's at Leaks DBD. Always confusing.
Oh,
But, with that being said, I did see somewhere that the new killer might have a power similar to Pinhead, potentially, to where they might have a passive where you have to interact with something on the map to stop some form of slowdown, which a lot of people, when I've seen that, whether it's joking or serious, were not always thrilled with that thought. But I kind of like it, as at least that higher MMR, that passive slowdown for Pinhead is pretty useful and doesn't feel too oppressive, but it's something that survivors need to play around and be mindful of throughout the game.
Especially now, with Pinhead with the various strategies, where Pinheads can consistently find where the box is immediately in the game based on survivor spawns, and they can find that box and get the chain hunt started right away, which causes survivors to go into panic and possibly get a very early first down without even a gen really being worked on. So it can do wonders for Pinhead, and I know the theme kind of the next killer is the crows, and I kind of saw the weapon or the hand of the killer, which looks kind of pretty cool. But maybe there's going to be some interaction with crows or something. I could see that happening, or having some perks related to crows.
I would love that. You know, I think right now our only crow-related perk is Spies from the Shadows, which gets some rare usage. If you ever see, like, full-on usage of Spies, I think the only map that you ever see it on is, like, Midwich, because you disturb crows. Whether you're on first floor or second floor, you disturb both sets of crows. So, like, that's the only map where Spies is actually any form of useful.
Those types of maps are like, I gotta bring this exact same map to get any use from this perk. Really well designed. But yeah, no, some perks are just weaker than others, obviously, and they're very kind of gimmicky and only work in certain areas. Just like add-ons with certain killers, like, oh, this only works on an indoor map with Oni, just where you can, like, have the blood everywhere and you can just see the auras, but it doesn't work anywhere else, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm very intrigued if they're going to bring the Scourge Hook, a boon totem, and what the power is going to be, if they're going to try to go with that kind of new mode of maybe having kind of inbuilt slowdown, because they're realizing, man, these gens are flying, especially at the high MMR they're probably looking at now. Like, damn, these guys are going. Especially because the devs, they're not, like, not to be mean, they're not really great at their own game. So they probably don't have games where they finish gens really fast or even look at that. But in high MMR gameplay, of course, the gens will fly, so having any inbuilt slowdown, I think now is actually a good thing to an extent, as long as it's not too annoying. I guess depending on the gameplay perspective, you know, because we still want to keep it fun and interactive, so it's the kind of balance there.
Yeah, my only concern is it treating the symptom of a larger issue? You know, does it really come down to, do gen speeds need to change? Is it not that the killer needs, you know, a passive slowdown now? Is it that maybe gen speeds need to be increased by some degree?
It's a kind of interesting topic, because on one hand, increasing gen speeds means you're holding, you know, M1 or R1 constantly on a gen, just sitting there if you get no interaction with the killer. So that can be potentially boring, but maybe there just needs to be some other side objectives or more things for the survivors to do or complete, for there to be a bit more time for the killer to actually be able to, you know, hold their ground a bit. So maybe not increase the gen speeds, but give them something else, because I don't know if holding M1 is something more people want to do consistently.
That's fair.
I feel, again, it's they need something else, because again, gen speeds are really fast, especially if 3 survivors are just holding down those gens and one person's being chased and they're not being chased into gens that are being worked on. It's like boom, 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 gone. So
yeah. Well, especially because, you know, I think at this point, whereas previously survivors didn't really understand, you know, gen efficiency penalties, perks that, you know, are going to shorten the time of gens or using toolboxes efficiently. You know, I think that before it used to be the high MMR or high skill experienced players who understood that. Whereas now it really does feel like everyone has now come to that understanding of, oh, you know, in order for me to escape, I need to do X, Y, and Z. You know, not everyone is there, but a mass majority of people, I'd say the average person now understands, I need to actually do gens. You know, I think that is becoming more common knowledge, and so that's where I think maybe you're right, maybe another objective would be smart.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they would add that in that would kind of like flow with the mode of the game, but Maybe time will tell. All right, let's see what happens here, though. Am I right? Is it going to be another Twins?
It is indeed. I mean, it makes a ton of sense. I think they saw how successful the Twins were on that last match, so they're going to respond in kind. It really does matter, though, whether or not this initial chase will be done as quickly, and sure enough, I don't know if it's the map or what, but these survivors getting caught out pretty early here. We do see that vault at the truck, and looks like Osaka will be going for the Claudette as of this moment, and even sees the ace as they run out into middle as well.
Another thing they have in common, they had both first hits quite early into the game. The Claudette is doing the smart thing and running into the corrupt area where Charlotte does not want to be, so she's going to go back into her potentially 4-gen here, because the corrupted gens here are kind of split apart even for this bottom side of the map by Shaq. It could be like a loose 4-gen sort of thing up top, but we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like Osaka will opt to go for the pounce on Elodie as well, though. And I will note that we did see their only totem over on that corrupt side as well. So that'd be my only thing where I may have been thinking, if I was Osaka, maybe I want to actually sit on my corrupt side instead and try and, you know, keep that totem up if at all possible.
Maybe that. It might just be unfortunate RNG, and you're going to have to play into your stronger aspect down here at main building. Gets another hit, so they're in a really good spot right now. If they can get Victor back off the person right now, which they do, and they're recalling them right now, and they can get a slug going, because there are 3 injured survivors right now, which is abysmal against Twins. They need to reset.
They do, but I don't know what just happened here. Looks like Nancy trying to go for the stun on Charlotte, but not able to get the timing off right, and will end up going down potentially to Victor.
But running into the corner, which is the smart play, and as we see, Claude did reset, which means that they were not on a gen. But potentially the Elodie, I think I see there, and the Ace are on a gen just on this side of the map, maybe like far gen over there, and they might be able to get that done to try and break this 3-gen early, which does happen, as I was calling it.
Yeah, so I think at this point, you know, that's pretty much going to force Osaka's hand to pick a side and really just commit to one side or the other. And, you know, I think, what side was that popped off on? That was on the active side?
Yeah, that's the one I called it, the far gen on this top area here by main.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, you know, you do have this still nice grouping of 3 gens here. You have the hook there, you have main, and you do have the one in mid. Would you go for the top side, Shaq side now? Though we did just see another gen pop off.
Honestly, this is, I think the Twins got a bit unlucky here. This is not as strong of a 3-gen as I've seen on this map that can spawn. Like, this is a bit of a weaker 3-gen, honestly, from both sides. So it's going to be harder to defend this. They do have 2 people injured, and they're probably going to try to tunnel at Nancy, as they know they have to do, especially with 2 gens already being done. Deadheart coming out. BT would not have been over by then, so good job going around and getting it down. But DS, is it going to be in play?
That is the question. And the verdict is no. So kind of a bit of a repeat scenario here, where Osaka now knows that Nancy does not have decisive strike. Will put her up on the hook. And I do want to also note that we still see that totem on the other end of the map, so their passive gen regression has not been cleansed thus far.
I think the survivors are just going gens. We're not even really, they're maybe checking a bit, but they're not actively going another way because they haven't really been pushed off gens that much from what I've seen here. Now they still do kind of have this loose 3-gen. Like, you can tell, like, this is, there's distance between this, but with Twins you can hold this. And this hook on the hill is actually horrible, especially with no decisive. Like, what do you think about this hook right here?
I mean, honestly, if I'm Osaka, I'm bringing out Victor and kind of just placing, you know, Charlotte right in front of that hook, bringing Victor out. I mean, you have that availability, and so I think that'd be the right move here, kind of force them off of gens, as we do see them working on middle, and Osaka not really bringing out Victor, opting to just kind of watch them do their thing. And I don't know, I think that, you know, you have that availability to force the death hook while also, you know, applying some gen pressure too of Twins.
No, I agree completely. Now they secured the kill at 2 gens remaining. This gen had about like 40-50% of progress left. They're gonna now, the smart thing to do is just go Shaq side and constantly reset. As I said, the previous RR team should have done They should have just gone to the opposite side where gens are being worked on, reset, played very slow from now on. Because the Twins, they do have a 3-gen here. What I would do as well is I would just pump out that gen on the Shack side so that we are in the lead right now with 4 gens done compared to the last team having 3 gens done.
Yeah, I think that you're right in saying that. I know a lot of teams do like the 99, and there is some merit to doing so, I will admit. But in this case, where you probably want to just guarantee yourself getting some additional points, this is the way to go. But I will say Osaka is probably overcommitting to this chase, because I had bet you that both the Elodie and the Claudette are probably on that gen in mid as we speak, as this chase of Ace is getting a little bit long, at least if I was in their shoes for my liking.
No, exactly that. I think Osaka is going to commit now to go back, but this gen is pretty close, especially with, I think Ruin is still up. Can you see that totem?
Ruin is still up, so we'll be regressing at 200% speed, so, you know, it's about 0.6% per second. So about for every 2 seconds, you get 1% of the gen regressing. So maybe
right now,
the survivors want to take their time and maybe find Ruin, since, you know, they're going to want to play it slow anyways.
Exactly. Honestly, I think this was kind of a mistake. I think we should have sentry'd Charlotte at that gen there and have that just like built-in pressure immediately there. But now what you can do is you can go back. So that fast down actually might work in his favor. Didn't actually need to sentry at this gen and can get a down potentially on the quad if she was here.
But doesn't look like they were all there, so this should be a pretty easy pick for Osaka, as they now have that killer instinct available to them at the gen, and does find the Elodie. That guarantees the Elodie is not able to work on gens, and Claudette might not exactly feel all too inclined to do so while injured. We do, however, see high surveillance with a Unbreakable.
That is actually a bit crushing for the Twins right now, because they really did need that hook in the 3-gen area. Really unfortunate. Again, I think I might have just sentry'd Charlotte here, like sentry Charlotte here and just go out, and then you can kind of just jump back and forth and have a lot of pressure on this side of the map. Like, I wouldn't be leaving this much. This might be a mistake. We'll see how it plays out. Looks like they're maybe trying to heal there, or they just...
I think High Surveillance is just by themselves right now, and sure enough, we see them at this tire pile, and High Surveillance will go down without a Unbreakable. I think this is it for High Surveillance, but Osaka will have to get back to that main gen here real quick. But it looks like with Ruin, there's enough regression. I think that the survivors are out hunting Ruin as we speak, but might be coming up empty.
I thought they might try to just commit to that, because that might have been their one chance to try and commit and finish that gen. Because now, again, there is a hook deep on this map right here, and they're gonna have to go all the way past the 3-gen into Charlotte's area to even get High Surveillance off this hook. And also surveillance Osaka needs to do is proxy this gen with Victor, and they have to heal up. Again, this is where the reset's gonna come in. They're gonna have to play this very slow. They might even have to do a hook trade because it's so far into the 3-gen.
It is also possible, and is something not to discount, that High Surveillance could have Deliverance, and I think Osaka is having that thought too, posting Victor up in front of that hook in case they are able to get themselves off before these survivors are able to reach them.
I think he's just going to confirm second stage here, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think that's the right play here. Honestly, though, I might want to switch roles, have Charlotte over by the hook and Victor over by the gen, because if an instance that, you know, they do get over here, there's the Deliverance, as I was saying. A little bit concerned about that. It looks like Osaka was too. But my main concern there would have been if instance survivors had gotten there, not being able to get the grab, instead just get the pounce and the injure.
No, exactly that. And I don't think you commit to this. Like, they're both running away from this. You kind of go back, you sentry, or you either go and hook right now, hoping there's no DS. And look, this gen has basically no progress. And I will say, they did get ruined.
Yeah, they did get ruined, so that is pretty huge, but all the gens are pretty much dead in the water as we speak. The main thing here is whether or not that Osaka decides to go for the pick, because it is very likely, if not, you know, highly likely, that High Surveillance has a decisive strike in their pocket.
Was that just a pun, Gil?
Maybe.
Was that a pun? Please,
Maybe.
Don't do it. It hurt my soul. It hurt my soul to hear that.
But
it looks like they're coming here. They're
Yeah.
gonna try to pick up, and they're gonna try. They snuck by, all really well done on the survivors' part. They snuck by just in time. They're gonna go all the way top side, or top side, bottom side. I'm confusing it right now, and try to reset.
Yeah, this now leaves Claudette here on main side. That leaves Ace and Elodie available to reset on Shaq's side. But if Osaka is able to get a quick down here, then it's going to be difficult for these survivors to come back now that Deliverance has been used and Unbreakable is out of the game. And sure enough, they get the pounce, but will they be able to get the down? That is the question at hand.
Nah, they had too much distance. They're going to go all the way back to Shaq's side. And again, this is going to be a long game, ladies and gentlemen. But we need to see which side is more patient, which side has better positioning, because that is what it comes down to against Twins, especially with this area just kind of cordoned off. And it looks like they are going to commit to the Elodie here. Getting the hit, so now it's going to take even longer for them to reset. And potentially, if they kind of feel lucky, they might be able to send Victor up or down to the side of the map and just try to maybe get it down or something cheeky.
Yeah, at the same time, we do see high surveillance here, so honestly, if them being the only other survivor that has been hooked, I think this might be your time to just go for high surveillance, get the hit, and then bring out Victor. A little bit surprised to see him bring out Victor first, however, as he does get crushed at that pallet.
Buying vital time for the survivors to reset. And right now, you almost always want to have someone injured so that they have to come from the reset, because having 3 people being able to split pressure right now and attack, especially fully healthy, that is unfortunate. Maybe puts the favor into the survivor's position, because this is not really that hard of a 3-gen, as I was saying earlier. It's kind of loose, but with Victor, it can be done with the Sentry of Charlotte. So, yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a game of attrition, to say the least. As survivors are just going to slowly but surely eke out pressure. I will say, though, with the Claudette on this main gen earlier, it does put Osaka into a really weak position, because as they go for this main gen and kind of go back to middle, I think the survivors are going to just be able to kind of, bit by bit, really pressure out that value, as Osaka's going to have to commit to some of these chases. And as they do, if Prove Thyself, for example, is still up, I think that'll probably spell the end for the Twins.
I think this is actually the mistake that he was looking for, because High Surveillance is now injured on this side of the map, but going to go back and check this, knowing that he still has to stay on this side of the map. And they almost finished this. They need it down, because they cannot sentry around this forever with Ruin gone.
And unfortunately, though, I think LD might be trying to go into that locker, but does not get there in time. But we'll have to see where High Surveillance might be, as Osaka has now lost their positioning.
Exactly that. Oh, it's really unfortunate. Maybe they should have just sentryed around that gen a bit more and just played it much, much slower. But I think the survivors were just a bit more patient, resetting a bit more. And now they are going to break this free gen and get the final gen done. There it goes. Survivors have the lead now completely. I'm only going to see probably 1 more kill coming out here. Potentially 2 if there's a big mistake on Survivor's part, because you see the injured Survivor going into Shaq, and right now they're just going to pre-throw everything, buy as much time to get a gate open. I don't see anything other than a 2K in this game. Really well done from Atrocity on this series here, from the Twins kind of matchup.
Yeah, I mean, we even see those X-Gates, the pressure is pretty split there, but a very vital hit there over that pallet. I think that there will secure them the kill on the Claudette, as I think otherwise, you know, there's going to be no way for them to even get this down if they played it smart. But Claudette will end up going down. No Unbreakable, no Deliverance. I think this will result in a 2K. On the bright side for Super Assassins, this will result in a hook plus 2 additional progressions. So definitely keeping the game close, but did not, you know, bridge the gap as much as they probably would have wanted to from trial number 1.
Yeah, exactly that. I think if they had just a bit of a stronger 3-gen, or they just played with their hand a bit more, maybe just a bit more patient with it. I mean, they did their best. I think there's just small little errors coming into chase a bit too long in some areas, and not getting the hits where they needed to really just cost them. And really well played by the survivors. I think they just played it really well. That's why you don't rush into things. You always reset. You go to the opposite side where Gen's done. Again, it's kind of like honestly, these games can go on for like 30, 45 minutes, depending on the teams. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, Twins and Hag being the only two macro killers in the game. I mean, their games run the gambit, to say the least, and we almost saw that here. But Survivors, getting the gen done quick enough, which I'll be honest, a little bit happy for. Didn't want to see a 30-minute match of Survivors resetting.
I mean, it might not be always the most entertaining, but it is the smartest thing to do. Yeah, I guess let's, Ooh, there we go. They were kind of like maybe debating the whole time. I'm surprised they took this long to leave.
Yeah, maybe they, I especially they're like, the game already's taken long enough. Might as well add a few extra minutes.
Yeah, I'm just like, guys, are you gonna leave? I was talking so slow. I'm like, are they going to leave at some point? But they did leave, and yeah. Very well played series, entertaining all the way through. You got to see a lot of good plays coming out, and again, like I said, against macro killers like Hag and Twins, the smallest little mistakes on either side can spell disaster, and they can honestly lead to really fast games. Like against Twins, and you don't reset quickly, or you just have like meh teammates. Those games can be really fast with a Victor just going around downing everybody willy-nilly. Like it can be really fast.
Yeah.
Especially with Hague too. Like if they set a good web and they just kind of consistently get injures and they get someone in their web, boom, game over. It can be really fast as far as don't play it slow and safe.
Exactly. But real quick, before we do forget, the score for that match, we're looking at 29 points for Atrocity Survivor Team and 25 points for Cerebral Assassins Twins. Definitely keeping trial number 2 very close, so not a lot of points gained there by Atrocity. However, we're looking at 34 points for Cerebral Assassins to 74 points for Atrocity. So it's currently a 40-point match in Atrocity's favor, meaning that Cerebral Assassins really does need to try and make up that point difference here on trial number 3 when they are still, not Atrocity, sorry, Cerebral Assassins needs to make up the point difference in trial number 3 while they are still acting as the killer.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, they going to stick with, I think they're sticking with Osaka on killer then?
Yep, to my knowledge, they will be sticking to Osaka as the killer for Cerebral Assassins, so they'll be moving on to Gas Heaven. The question is, what do you bring in this scenario? You are now, 40 points down, you need to get a 4K, probably before they finish all 5 gens. Are you bringing Spirit? Are you bringing Bubba? I would guess Spirit, realistically speaking, right?
I think this is the only play they can do, especially since they've used Blight and Nurse, and I'm pretty sure Atrocity knows this. They're going to use the map to their advantage with its size and just really hold W away from active gens, because Spirit still is a 110 killer without her power. Sure, she can, get some fast downs, and it really depends how fast they can get these downs, and if the Survivors can pick up and play well against the new Spirit with the sound, and you can kind of predict what she's doing, and we'll see how Osaka fares with the new kind of mind games you have to put into place with Spirit. If they don't bring Spirit, I will be very surprised, because I'm not sure what else you bring on this map that has mobility. Potentially Oni, but you need a really early hit, and I don't see that happening here.
Yeah, I mean, Gas Heaven is nice because the spawn logic is pretty consistent. So I don't think Oni would be a bad play, necessarily, because you can normally find an early chase. The thing is how quickly you're going to be able to get that first hit is really what's going to matter.
No, exactly that, and I just don't see that happening against Atrocity, especially with a lot of the good loops on that map. If they hear it's an Oni, what they're going to do is they're going to go to save gens, and they're going to run really early and go to those pallets and to those strong windows, and they're not going to give him an early down at all. And you're probably going to see 2 to 3 gens pop, well, most likely 3 gens, potentially even 4 in the first down before you even get the power. In that point, you have to slug if you want to bring this game back. I just don't see that happening, so I'm thinking it has to be a Spirit. If anything, there's going to be a mobility killer on Gas Heaven.
Yeah, I tend to agree. But with that being said, as we're about to get the final builds, I want to get a quick little check-in with you. So, for those who play some Dead by Daylight, I'm sure you all got a little bit of a payout for your Hawkins offerings. How many blood points did you get, Domo?
I got 600k.
Okay, you and I both.
Yeah. I know there was some people that said that they had some of their friends get 600k, but they had way more offerings and they only got 100k. So I feel like it might have been inconsistent on some areas. But I know that I had a ton of Hawkins on various survivors and killers, so I could see that happening. I'm fine with that. I just spent that again. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go invest this again in another killer. So buy Hawkins. Sad to see you go.
It's sad to see you go. Honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, so happy about Hawkins gone. Like, I actually didn't mind Hawkins, but then again, I personally would do what was called the grab-only challenge on Hawkins, and that's why I personally loved it, where I would just go into a match and see Hawkins like, cool, I'm going to try and get 12 hooks with nothing but grabs, and Hawkins was just one of the easiest maps to do so because the pallets were so weak 9 times out of 10.
No, the pallets are insanely unsafe on that map. I feel like it offers a really interesting gameplay style with its long hallways and its rooms, because there are a few pretty strong rooms that you can kind of link together and waste a decent amount of the killer's time depending on who it is. So there are some strong areas on the map and a lot of time you can waste, but they are a lot of unsafe loops that just you can mind game so easily and get downs. So it is, I think, a little more killer-sided. It's not my favorite map to go on, so I'm not like I'm heartbroken that they're removing it. But yeah, do you actually think that they're going to release a map with a new chapter or not? Because people are debating if it's going to be Chapter 22 or Chapter 23. I'm really not sure. I hope it's a new map, but it kind of seems like indoorish from some of the map lists they had, which I want.
It is going to be kind of interesting. A lot of people are saying it's going to end up being Chapter 23, but we don't have, specific confirmation just yet. So personally, I would say my guess is based on the tile names that we've seen and the theme and motif that we've been getting from the new killer, new survivor, I'm willing to bet that it's going to be a Chapter 23, which is currently rumored to be a licensed chapter. There hasn't been much confirmation on it, but apparently there's been some leaks that have yet to be fully confirmed coming for Chapter 23 out in March.
Yeah, I saw some of those leaks as well. Again, things that kind of far out, I'm going to take with a little bit of grain of salt, except for like some of the people where they consistently have like, oh, these are the skins coming like with the rarity. I'm like, I believe that.
Which I'm excited for a few of the new skins coming out, because a few of them have been marked as legendary, which are mainly licensed skins. So I'm crossing my fingers and knocking on wood for some more Crypt TV skins. But with that being said, we are jumping right on into this match, and we see a Billy. Now,
again,
it's not what I was expecting. What about you?
I mean, I considered it. Anybody with map ability, as I said, is the most viable on Gas 7 with its size. Not able to find a survivor really quickly, which is very unfortunate. Oh no, this could spell a bit of a disaster. Let's see what happens here, if they can find someone quickly afterwards.
I don't know if you saw it, but I did. There are some scratch marks there in that garage, and Billy does get that early chase. I am surprised not to see an earlier chase just because the spot logic is kind of ridiculous on this map, where you can reliably predict where survivors are at all times. But Osaka being very aggressive here with this chainsaw, and Will gets the down on the Nancy.
Oh, that was a big mistake on their part. Overheating the chainsaw, I'm supposing on purpose there.
Yeah, I actually don't know. Does overheating a chainsaw cool it down faster than not?
I think with maybe one of their add-ons it might. Again, I'm not like a proficient Billy player. Billy and Nurse are the two killers I played the least. But I know how to play against them a lot in comp. I think maybe with one of the add-on overworks it might have helped a bit, but not 100% sure on this right now.
Personally, Billy's probably still one of my weakest killers. I do need to work on him just a bit. But, I mean, this was a very good first early down. I do want to note, however, that there is no ruin being used this match. And we saw Pop Goes the Weasel there. And it does seem that Osaka has another chase and has the ace in sight. And be trying to get them off of this gen and try to do some cheeky mind games here. And almost, I think, gets it. And does!
Oh, that was so good! And again, overheating, so yeah, I assume that it does decrease the cooldown much faster.
I don't know about you, but I, like, initially seen Billy as a little bit concerned because Billy, in my opinion, is not, you know, seen as, like, that top-tier killer. But, man, these chainsaw downs have been something else.
No, they have been fantastic, and right now, I wouldn't even be focusing on loading with a killer like Billy. Right now, this map, you need to try to for some sort of 3-gen, especially, you know, with Billy Power, you can have a lot of this map. So it looks like he might be trying to just commit around this main side right now. And I would just tunnel out High Surveillance and the Nancy. Those are the two survivors I would focus on if I was a Billy right now to get your team back in this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, and it did seem like Osaka had seen a survivor over here and does find both the Claudette and the LD. Shocked to not have seen that M1 hit. I'm not sure if maybe they're going for the hit or just trying to go for the block, but we do see... I'm not sure if that was low pro or not, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure that was low pro from how it looks like, because without low pro, it looks like, you know, they just break and stop, but there you went through, and I think, yeah, with the add-ons, that is low pro.
Oh yeah, actually looking at the bottom left, it is low pro.
Yeah,
just paying attention, it's like, wait, was that low pro? They didn't go, like, fully through.
Oh, for a second I was like, does he have the add-ons hidden? I'm like, I 100% see that low pro.
So interesting, maybe this is actually really interesting use of the low pro that I had not thought about, where it almost seems like they're using it to try and break the pallet but still keep their distance. They don't get locked into that animation, so they're immediately ending at the pallet, and it seems to keep them some additional distance.
Here we go with the truck, the building team to throw this house down. We're gonna see all these gems pop off quickly, and with only 2 hooks and 3 gens done, it is looking unfortunate, especially because they have so many pallets left that they have not even touched on this bottom side by Shaq and on that car wall over there.
Yeah, I think at this point, basically, if you're Osaka, you're just trying to get another 2K, you know, whether it be 7 hook, 6 hook, what have you, to try and keep the score close. But I'm not sure if it's going to be enough going into game number 4, as it'll mean that Atrocity does not exactly have to put in a lot of work Killer's side to secure the win.
Exactly that, because they had that 4K early on, they probably only need a 2K and they can just bring out a Bubba and get that. Oh, this is just unfortunate to see here, because that was actually going to be a good play and a potential injury right there, I believe, if they got the low pros to work.
And unfortunately, DVD being inconsistent as always and not able to get that chainsaw hit.
Yeah, and as we see there, we still have Shaq piled up, and this gen has progressed quite a bit. I mean, they're going to have no problem working on this. All the flashlight coming out of High Surveillance. They're going to see the bamboozle now, but they don't get the down, able to get to the pallet in time with the stun as well. And no flashlight stun there. No blind at all.
Hey, no, just clicking for the sake of clicking. And Osaka trying to do some fancy stuff here with Billy, but I don't know if it's working all too well for them as we see them colliding with every single bit of geometry. And unfortunately, I predict this is probably going to be a 4-man out at this point in time.
I think so as well, and all they're going to do is just pre-drop these pallets. Yeah, I think Osaka just knows, like, I'm going for these spicy little mind game flicks with Billy. Let me have them.
Unfortunately for him, too much uses of that chainsaw will overheat it. It looks like High Surveillance and Osaka may be memeing around just a wee bit, going, okay. You know, I've lost this match, let me practice my chainsaws at the very least.
Exactly. It's like, you guys already have this win. All you need to do is get, like, basically, like, 3 or 4 hooks and get the victory. So, let's see what they can bring out.
That is rough. To be fair, I am not good enough with Billy, so I can't really say on what's a good play, what's a bad play, and what are good and bad flicks, but Osaka definitely struggling with the car mirror. Apparently that now has collision. I was not aware of that.
Honestly, he's been doing really good. I think the best play he had was when the game was still pretty serious, where he got that next early hook on high surveillance around that one rock loop, which was so awesome to see.
Yeah, it's always good to see some good Billy play. Unfortunately, I still think that Billy is just a wee bit too weak for comp at this point in time.
No, 100%. I think the thing that is needed, that you see in like PvE and other events, is he needs Noed. Like Bamboozle, Noed, Ruin, Pop, those are the kind of things, and like Corrupt. Those are the things that are needed for Billy to kind of even secure a 2K, and that's like the best you can mostly hope for against a good team.
Yeah, tend to agree with that. Looks like these fires are gonna be nice though, leaving Billy some presents. Be able to sell them over on the Gas Heaven shop for later.
Exactly, and that's going to be a GG, and I'm assuming there is almost no possibility of Cerebral Assassins coming back from this. The question is, why didn't they bring out the Spirit to have the best chance? I know it's like, again, it's not the best map for Spirit due to its size, and you probably wouldn't get a 4K with Spirit on this map, but I'm not sure. Do they have a chance of getting into the playoffs now?
So, realistically speaking, Cerebral Assassins, I think they result in, a 4-4 record? I think with the teams as they are, I think that pretty much is the swan song for Cerebral Assassins, not just for this match, as they are at 42 points to 124, but also, in regards to playoff attempt, I do not think they're going to be able to make playoffs with this record.
Yeah, and I was talking about playoffs myself there. Yeah, I would have gone a full out, try to burn that Spirit out and see what happens. It would have been the best shot because Billy is just unfortunately a bit too loopable still. He's just not the same boy anymore. Sad.
Maybe one day we'll see the Billy buff that he deserves.
Exactly that. And I guess this next match is probably just going to be a lower tier killer coming out from... Oh, it depends, I guess, what they have available. They still have, I think, basically, Atrocity has 3 more killer matches left to use. And what have they used in total? You want to kind of catch us up on that?
Realistically speaking, if we're looking at the killer tracker, they have not used a lot due to some buys/forfeits from teams prior, so it does look like they have pretty much every killer to use at this point in time, though obviously we're going to probably see a throwaway killer for this last match for obvious reason. The question is, who will be killing, and that I do not know off the top of my head.
I'm intrigued to see what happens still. Should be a fun game, maybe a bit memey again. Let's see what side it falls to.
I guess the question is, one thing I will say that I'll miss from Season 1 and Season 0 is these Game 4 kind of meme games. Season 2, based on the structure, you don't really have that available to you going forward. So, what would you like to see here? Personally, I would love to see new Trapper with some good add-ons.
I would say that on any other map than this, really, unless you somehow are able to get some sort of regen, but it's still just way too massive.
That's fair. So maybe, who else can we look at? I mean, Plague actually feels pretty good now, though maybe some Plague play.
It's, again, on this map size, because the pools with RNG where they spawn, even if you bring an apple, they can spawn in corners and they can just be in bad areas where you can't really pick up your power really easily without having to go to your way. So she still suffers from that a bit, but she is much better, and I love how she plays right now. And a lot of time I can still get used to those pools, and you can get those first few injures with your power, and then you pick up your power with the Corrupt Purge, and you get those fast downs and just kind of get a snowball going. But it really depends on that map and where those things spawn, which is why you almost always need an apple, because you can't always rely on like 1 or 2 being out in like a corner and you're like, crap, I kind of have to either go to that corner and pick that power up right away, or have to kind of be in that spot at one point in the game chasing someone to pick that up. Otherwise, it's just going to inconvenience me. So yeah, it really depends. especially on this map, if they all stay injured and she doesn't get a good power usage on the Corrupt Purge. She's just an M1 killer that suffers drastically on this map without any map ability, right? So I could see, if you kind of just want to do a throwaway kill and they haven't really used Oni before, I'd go Oni.
Oni wouldn't be a bad idea. I definitely think it'd be fun. I think at the end of the day, I think if they're going to do a meme game, they might as well go all out, go the Trapper, go the Mikey, play someone right off the wall. It doesn't matter if it's a large map or not, though, obviously in the instance of tiebreakers, the points do matter to some degree. Though I think with now them being on, a 6-2 record, is that right? I'm pretty sure that Atrocity has locked it in. Let's take a look-see. Yep, 5-2, so this will be a 6-2 record. I'm pretty sure they are locked in for all intent and purpose. Because at the very most, looks like Cerebral Assassins will be knocked down to a 4-4 record, so they're pretty much out of playoff contention. We have then Monarchy and Sample Tech, so I think what's going to happen here, my friend, I think it's going to come down to my team and your team next week to determine who the 4th spot is going to be.
Exactly that, and I'm afraid, Guilt, we're going to do our best to really just crush your hopes and dreams, okay?
I would expect nothing less. But that being said, we are officially in the lobby. It looks like it will be high surveillance for Atrocity killing today. But gonna be exciting to say the least. So pretty much I think for Saturday Division, we're looking at Atrocity, Regicide. We are looking at... who else? We are looking at Cookies, and then it's either going to be Sample Text or Monarchy for the final spot. And then as far as playoffs for the Sunday side, we're looking at Fortis Locker versus Travesty, which will be quite exciting to see who comes out on top there.
No, exactly that. I'm really intrigued to see what happens overall. Again, they said playoffs is November 20th, I believe.
Yep, right now I have put out a message to all captains, and since they're your captain, have not responded or have any issues with it being on the 20th, please let me know ASAP. But otherwise, we are looking for playoffs on the 20th, trying to get through everything, and then probably scheduling finals a week out later on the 27th. Pretty much ending Season 1 by the end of November. And then Season 2, we're looking at January. Pretty early January start, so I'm quite excited for that. Hopefully y'all are too.
I'm definitely excited to see how that, especially the changes coming up to Season 2. It should be a fun time overall. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this, I keep saying intrigued, but I am intrigued to see how this season kind of plays out overall. And I think this week is basically the deciding week for a lot of teams, if they make the playoffs or not. Except for our team, I think, is the major one. Monarchy versus Samtex. That's the one for next week to watch out for to see what happens with playoffs. But yeah, I think everything else is sort of spoken for, I think, right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you have 6 wins, you're pretty much locked in for playoffs. So pretty much the 3 teams that I mentioned earlier pretty much have 6 wins, 7 wins, so it's pretty much guaranteed at this point in time. And it really just comes down to Simtex and Monarchy next week.
No, exactly that, and I'm intrigued to see what happens with that. I think we're gonna, well, I don't know yet. I guess we're gonna see what you bring out. What are the maps again for that week? I have to look ahead of that.
I think I need to change one of the maps because I think one of them is Rancid, which is unfortunate because desync issues and hook bug issues, all that fun stuff going on with Dead by Daylight, making the heads of organizers like myself hurt constantly whenever we hear about another map issue, whittling our already pretty small map pool even smaller.
Exactly that. It's just frustrating. You're like, oh, we're gonna have this and this and this happen, and then you think it's all set. Like, oh, we don't need to worry about this anymore. And then problems come up that aren't even in your control. It's like, this is the dev's job, not mine.
Well, yeah, it was like Pig. It's the same reason why Pig was banned, why Twins was banned this last couple of weeks, because there's all right, well, this is unfortunate. it's like, well, alright, I guess teams can't use these killers as of this moment, which I imagine a lot of teams probably wanted to some degree.
Twins, I think for sure. Pig, questionable.
True.
Unless, I feel like, again, she's also a killer that's very map dependent, add-on dependent now. Like, she has a lot more better add-ons, but she's still that M1 killer that suffers a lot in chases, so it really depends on the map you picked and, you know, how safe it is for survivors in general.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing with like Oni. Like I think what they DB. I'll go back to DB again. Like they use Sheltered Woods for a lot of like Billy and Oni because there are fewer pallets and it's a lot more open, so it kind of creates a bit fairer gameplay. But still, the most you can expect really is really a 2K unless like the survivor team makes mistakes and the killer plays really well and is able to get that 4K because it is a killer sided map, as you probably agree. But otherwise, with maps that have more pallet heavy areas, they just suffer so bad.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I would still love, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, some form of map seeding so we can make it a little bit more balanced.
Yes.
But I think that is probably something that we won't see at all, if not for a very long time, as Behavior has plenty of things to work on between now and then. But with that being said, we are jumping into trial number 4, Atrocity versus Cerebral Assassins, this time with Atrocity as the killer, though as a reminder, Cerebral Assassins unfortunately has already lost, so this is just for fun, maybe some scrim, some practice for both teams. You know, always good to play it out nonetheless.
No, exactly that. I mean, you have to use the killers and be fair. You can't just go, all right, we're not going to use our killer now. We're going to save that. But you can, yeah, a nice little scrim, kind of like a warm-up of maybe another killer that you might want to use later on if they're not completely used up for the season. And maybe something kind of hint at playoffs.
Exactly. But with that being said, it is a Michael Myers.
This can be fun.
It will be interesting, to say the least. I'm curious to see how well this works out.
Wow, almost already to tier 2.
I mean, that J. Myers Memorial is quite strong, and I feel like it is pretty much just needed on Myers to be useful to any degree, to say the least.
100%. I mean, getting to tier 2 this fast, and the spawn location was much easier to find in this game compared to the villain game, that's for sure.
And like I said on Gas 7, the spawn logic on this map is very predictable, so I pretty much can guarantee whether I spawn as a survivor or as a killer, where the other is going to be. And looks like Higher Surveillance, knowing that too, does get that very early find, and is very close to hitting tier 2.
I think you mean tier 3 here now, right? Yeah. Very close. Essentially 99. They just need to get on a survivor right on top of them, stalk them for like 1 second. There we go. Oof. Cuba Steve running into that barricade. Just unfortunate.
Indeed. But we do see that first gen pop off. And we do get that first hook for the Myers with some time remaining, however, on this tier 3.
Yeah, there's at least half of the time remaining right now. I think they're just gonna try to kind of proxy this area where the gen was being worked on. And right now, against the Myers, especially on this map, you would expect like 2 to 3 gens that should pop off. But I don't see that happening right now, especially with tier 3. He's gonna didn't secure the second stage, but gonna get it down. I'm not sure if I would have traded that, especially because I don't think you would assume that it's a perma tier 3 Myers with the add-ons he has, where he got the stock off so fast and got to tier 3. So I don't think I would have assumed that and would just wait it out.
Yeah, maybe they're just trying to figure out the timing exactly on that tier 3, but may have ended up mistiming it. And now with Osaka in basement, I mean, for all intents and purposes, High Surveillance could just camp this out, and, you know, it's kind of hard to play around the Myers on that hook because he can just tier 3 you or get the grab. Doesn't really matter to him.
Exactly that. I mean, he's basically a tier 2 with no juice on him right now. So they could have gotten that save probably pretty easily. And look, they're going to stock the Survivor. Basically in the red zone right now, might not be able to get to tier 3 off this Survivor. And may not even want to in case they can pop tier 3 on them later on in the game.
Yeah,
And there comes the winter.
That's one thing I wish they would remove from Myers is that stock cap, because it is just such a punishing thing when you find someone you're like, okay, cool, I can get my tier 3. No, you cannot.
Imagine if Oni was like that, like, oh, you can only collect so much blood from the Survivor until they just never bleed again.
Oh, yeah, that is the exact argument where everyone goes, yeah, Myers probably shouldn't have a stock cap, to say the least.
I know exactly. I think he's needed for an overhaul, for sure. I think, his current mechanisms, they just need to be reworked because it's not anywhere near what it needs to be, especially, like, he's near, like, the bottom of the tier list, like, wouldn't you agree? He's like pretty much down.
It used to be a good conversation between him and Trapper, but 100% he is down there on the bottom by himself at this point in time.
The only thing he's got going for him is with Bamboozle and tier 3 vault speed, you can get some really cheeky plays, even a check where you can just vault that thing just so fast and you can almost get a guaranteed down if the Survivor does not play it safe enough. So there are some things you got going for you, but just the ability on so many maps to break line of sight and hold him in tier 1. Again, another part that's so bad about him is that his tier 1 is so weak, like compared to other killers. Like, it's so weak. It's insane.
Yeah, that is one of the major issues. Why I'd love to see just some quality of life changes happen for Michael Myers. Unfortunately, with him being a licensed killer, it does come down to the IP holder making that choice, and not exactly a choice that behavior can make on their own. But we do see Myers moving back to tier 2, and Scuba Steve getting dangerously close to dying on that hook.
I mean, he can just, like, proxy this whole area out right here. I'm not sure if the Survivors are completely playing too seriously right now. But, yeah, they put themselves in a bad spot where high surveillance can just, like, sit on top of this hill and just stare at them menacingly.
I mean, that is what Myers does best, and sure enough, that will be the end of Scuba Steve. And I think at this point, Myers is just going to hang out. Looks like Osaka trying to tell Myers something. I'm not exactly sure what, saying something about the totem, doing totem. He's like, okay, yeah, sure. You can do the bones, that's fine. Get your non-existent blood points.
Yeah, exactly. See, I can't tell if the Survivors were actually playing semi-serious in the beginning or not. It seemed like they were trying to loop and do everything right, but maybe now they're just like, well, I killed really early, and now this, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I think they're playing a little bit seriously at first, then towards the end they're like, okay, we give up.
Yeah, no, exactly that. As soon as you see Osaka do that, he's like, listen, we know. But, it'd be cool to see. It should have been 3 gens popping, honestly. In the first time where he tears up and gets a first down, there should be 3 gens popping on this map, or 4, honestly, depending on how well you loop it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I will say they did get a really good early find, and I think that does matter a lot in regards to Myers. So I think that definitely played a huge part in things, to getting that early tier 2, and a cheeky little flashlight blind there into the vault, but unfortunately for them, Heisman's is tier 3. I don't think we'll get to the pallet in time. Well, with the flashlight clicks, slowing them down maybe just a little.
Yeah. He was listening to our comms and was like, watch this, he will make it.
Does look like these Survivors are off of the gens. Yeah, I think that they, at this point, are just going for some chases, having some fun, as Neil will be bringing Myers away from that hook. But will be dropping the pallet nonetheless, extending the chase just a bit as they do go for the vault, but I think this Bamboozle might catch him off guard.
I don't think they make this.
That coup de grace Myers, the built-in coup de grace, and I think you're right, as Icegon's just giving a quick head nod and will get the down.
Honestly, this is kind of just funny to watch, I like this.
Like I said, that's one thing I will miss come Season 2 is these meme games, as Season 3, we will not have them any longer, and looks like You know, Osaka giving the quick teabags to Jacoby, and I believe that will be probably one of the last hooks here in the game.
Gonna stare and look at Osaka. These two have kind of been memeing at each other the whole series so far.
You know, always good fun stuff between competitors. Looks like maybe doing one last chase
1v1
here between the two.
Yeah, they had a typical 1v1 setup here. Let's go. Let's see how long Surveillance can make this last for.
You know, an M1 Myers. No tier 3 here, no coup de grace, just Myers. Ooh. Our pre-drop pallet, though, interrupting this 1v1 extended chase just a wee bit. Though it looks like Heist fans will get a hit here at this pallet, as Osaka's not able to get to it in time.
Oh my goodness, here we go. Gonna use this. I assume I'm gonna pre-drop this as soon as they can. And boom.
Just, you know, want to go for the stun instead.
I guess they have the good enough ping where they're both in the same sort of connection where they can get these safe stuns without having to worry about it. And is that a down? Yeah.
What the hell?
What on earth? Maybe that.
What were you saying about connection?
I don't listen to what I said. I. Thanks for proving me completely wrong, game.
That's the first time in a long time I've seen a down into a pallet thrown once they're on the ground.
No. High Surveillance has a perk that just is able to toss pallets when he's injured, or not injured, on the ground. You know?
Imagine, you know, that could be the next evolution of Power Struggle eventually.
Yeah. It'd be kind of interesting if there was like the perk where you like sort of like telepathically, and you're like, you don't even need to drop that pallet. I can drop it for you. I can just like zone it out and like pick it on your screen and then just like drop it. That would be such a troll perk though. I'm not even sure what we're talking about at this point. That will never happen. But
yeah, probably not. Probably not. But with that being said, that there is the end of the trial. We're looking at 9 points for Cerebral Assassins and 44 points to Atrocities, the Shape. And resulting in 51 points for Cerebral Assassins, 168 for Atrocity, with Atrocity coming out on top for the win.
Yeah, and not entirely surprised here. That was a really well played by Atrocity. It was close during the Twins sort of games. That's where it came down to. This Gas Heaven sort of series was a bit more inconsequential. Yeah. It was still kind of close to that point, but them playing the Billy is kind of what's secured the loss for Cerebral Assassins. But a fun series overall. Looking forward to facing Atrocity at some point if we make it to the finals, or if you guys make it to the finals at some point. We'll see what happens next week, right?
Indeed, indeed. But that being said, GG, well played to both teams, and congratulations to Atrocity as you have officially made it to the playoffs. And before we go, Domo, if everyone want to go say hi next time you are live, where would they find you?
On Twitch, all4domo. I'm probably going to be actually streaming in probably like an hour, doing some killer games and survivor games. If you guys want to make some requests, I'm 100% okay with that. Should be fun times there before we have like a Vigos game later today, so that'll be interesting as well.
Exciting stuff. But with that being said, that there will end today's stream. We will, however, be live in another 35 minutes. But in the meantime, we're going to go say hi to another competitor in Champions of the Fog. So definitely make sure to stay on by for the raid. But on that note, we'll see you later for who's playing. Actually, let me double check on that real quick. We'll see you later for Immortal Alliance versus Object of Depression at 12 p.m. CST. Bye-bye.
Bye.